Sometimes some people give a fuck. Today, Jeff Kaplan didn't. Hello guys, my name is Darkness, and today I want to talk about the recent comment that Jeff made about D.Va nerf. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you've ever watched a train wreck happen, that's basically Jeff Kaplan. He started out good, and he's moving towards garbage. Someone recently in the Overwatch forums put the question, would you rather have Reinhardt or D.Va? And it was basically a discussion over which one is more prevalent and which one is stronger, and it was sort of trying to justify the reasons to not nerf D.Va. Well, Kaplan decided to show up in this conversation and give some sage advice. So to pull from the actual forum post, it reads, I hear lots of arguments about whether D.Va is balanced, but when I ask on forums about Reinhardt, everyone says he's balanced. Logically, if Reinhardt is balanced, then every tank should be at his level. So if you can only have one on your team, would you prefer having a Reinhardt or a D.Va on your team? It seems to me like Reinhardt is ubiquitous, an absolute top tier must pick. If he's balanced and he gets more play than any other tank, that means other tanks are underpowered. This person is more than likely speaking from a competitive upper end perspective, likely gold or higher, which gold is not exactly upper end, but Reinhardt is prevalent even in gold. So that is sort of this perspective you can tell that this person is speaking from. It's not a quick play or a 3v3 or a 1v1 perspective. It's from the Diamond Plus competitive perspective. And Kaplan decides to come in here with some, as I said before, really useful garbage. He had this to say. Since November, D.Va is the third most played hero in Overwatch. Roadhog is the 4th, and Reinhardt is the 12th. Just for a little reference in comparison to what he's saying, on my account in quick play, my most played is Genji by far and away. My second most played is D.Va. My third is some other character, my fourth is Roadhog, and then fifth is Reinhardt. And don't ask me why he's my fifth. I was actually pretty surprised that he was that high. However, in competitive, my most played by a little bit is Reinhardt. Second is D.Va. Third is something like Soldier. And then fourth is something like Genji. So that's a little bit of comparison of how it differs between quick play and competitive. And I'll go ahead and get into this again in a minute, but I want to finish out his quote. The rest of his quote reads, I know a lot of people base their opinion on the, quote, meta reports coming out of the pro scene, but if you're talking about vast majority of Overwatch matches played, D.Va and Roadhog are the most picked tanks. If Reinhardt is considered a, quote, must pick, he isn't being picked as much as people perceive. So here's the thing about his quote. We don't know if he's talking about quick play, competitive, or everything including arcade, but I can tell you that if it is including everything, which that's what it sounds like, he's including every single game played in Overwatch, I can tell you that Reinhardt is very unfun in anything but competitive. In environments where people are not cooperating, where people are trickling, where you might not have a healer, where you're probably playing into some ridiculous comps that Reinhardt is not great against, Reinhardt is not fun at all. And that's what happens in quick play. You don't get a healer, you don't get a healer that's paying attention. People are just playing to have fun in quick play, and I think that's okay, but that makes Reinhardt very unenjoyable to play because people are not following you, people are not doing the things that they need to do to keep you alive, like actually being behind your shield. You just walked up on in quick play. Versus competitive, in which people are actually playing seriously and paying attention. Therefore, you actually have support. You actually have two people playing the support role, and you actually have people standing behind your shield so you don't get just walked up on by a Roadhog and shot in the mouth. Secondly, D.Va actually is pretty fun in these environments because she doesn't die when she loses her mech. You can just go in and do dumb things and shoot people and then get knocked out of your mech and run away. And you'll still be pretty effective even without a healer. So D.Va is played in these environments because she's actually kind of fun in these environments. You don't need a bunch of team cooperation to not die all the time. You just fly to a health pack and then fly back to the point and fight some more. You don't even need a healer for D.Va to be fun. like I said earlier. So, yeah, D.Va's obviously going to be played more than Reinhardt. To talk about how Roadhog is more popular, he can heal himself, and he can kill anything that he hooks. Of course, he's going to be played more. Reinhardt is totally reliant on his team. If you've ever played Reinhardt, you know this. You can't hardly swing without support from your team. You have to have a healer, otherwise you're just going to die slowly over time with your shield up. And that's no fun. Roadhog, on the other hand, can walk around a corner, take a breather, and there he goes. He's full of health. He can hook somebody and kill them outright. That's a lot more fun than standing there with your shield up with no one behind you. So in a quick play environment, or any other such as the No Limits or the Brawl environment that is not organized, you're obviously not going to play Reinhardt, and the other tanks are going to be more popular. I'd imagine that Zarya is quite a bit lower on the most played list too, because she takes a little bit of team cooperation to be really great. So other than being kind of sassy and slightly funny, Kaplan's response doesn't make any sense, because if you made your decisions based on arcade No Limits, you would be making some crazy decisions, like McCree would need a buff right now because it's hard to aim with him, or Hanzo needs a nerf because he appears all the time. These things happen in No Limits and Quick Play. You see 2 and 3 snipers, so you'll see both Widow and Hanzo and Ana on the same team. And that's really a terrible comp for competitive play, but it happens all the time in Quick Play because it's whatever. Play what you want, have fun. It's just Quick Play. It's just have fun and play whatever you want. Sombra is never taken in competitive because she's an awful hero, yet we're still waiting on a buff for her, and she's fine in quick play. Like, there's so many differences between quick play and competitive that you can't even compare the numbers of heroes played between them. Now the debate becomes, should we be balancing for the people at the bottom end or the people at the top end? And this is one that we can actually have a debate on because it makes sense. You know, people in bronze have different skill levels, and they're being defeated by Junkrat and Torbjorn, versus at the top, people are playing Widowmaker and McCree really well. And that's a debate you can actually have. But this debate of, should we balance around the quick play heroes? No, you shouldn't. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Alright, let me dial it back a little bit and we can talk about some D.Va history. So D.Va in beta was pretty good. She had a massive conal defense matrix that was just really, really strong. It actually caught projectiles. I guess there was more area for the checks that they do to catch them, but after the game went live, they nerfed that down to a much smaller area, like much smaller. And she kind of left any sort of prevalence that she had when the defense matrix stopped being so big. And she was out of the meta for a long time until they changed her defense matrix to be much more like Reinhardt's. And then she was only in the meta again for a few weeks until they got around to nerfing her, which they did pretty quickly. Now is the second time, because beta doesn't really matter, now is the second time she's been in the meta, and it's only been a little while since they changed her health pool. So since Sombra till now, and a few weeks in Season 2. So it's been about half a season total that she's been good. And this really doesn't make any sense, because Reinhardt has been viable since way early in the game. He's been in basically every competitive match ever played, and yet we still haven't seen more than half a season of D.Va. Zarya's been good for 2 seasons, been known to be good for 2 seasons, and they're now nerfing her, and she's still good? I mean, honestly, I don't understand why we won't just leave D.Va good for a while. Also, Reinhardt is the only tank that is mandatory main tank material. I don't understand why we don't have a second tank that is a main tank that tanks a lot of damage and actually kind of defends his team with his ultimate and things like that. It's just silly that we only have one option. for main tank, and then we're wanting to nerf the only other kind of secondary option that we have in the form of D.Va, as she's the only one that can do the main tank job. But the real point here is she's only been good for a little while. Can't we at least let her be flavor of the season instead of flavor of the quarter season? I like how Jeff Kaplan has time to come in here on a post that actually legitimizes D.Va not being nerfed and address him in a way that doesn't even make fucking sense.
Hey guys, Torb is played in 100% of No Limits games, and we're gonna nerf him by 25%. He's gonna do 25% less damage, and he's gonna get 25% less scrap, and he's gonna move 25% slower, so that he's played in fewer No Limits games. That'll be good for the competitive scene, right?
Come on, dude. That doesn't make any sense. That makes about as much sense as what you said. Legitimately, like, you cannot base your decisions on the fact that 1 million quick play games every day happen, and a lot of those have D.Va in them, but the 500,000 competitive games happen, and all of those have Reinhardt in them. This just does not make any sense. Also, shouldn't you be fixing some other shit in your game? Like the fact that Genji's dash doesn't move him at all until the end of his dash. So Widowmaker can shoot him at the back of his dash. Or maybe the fact that Roadhog's hook hasn't been fixed for a fucking year. Or the fact that D.Va's Matrix doesn't actually catch all the projectiles being shot into it. Or the fact that Hammer Down applies twice because it does damage and then stuns. And it stuns on both times. So if you fly into it as Mercy or dash through it as Genji, you're still going to get hammered down, even after the voice line. Or maybe you should address some other fucking issues in your game. How about that, Jeff? Fuck. Hey, or an even better idea, maybe we can get Junkenstein's Revenge Expanded Edition, since, you know, that was super, super popular, and people have been asking for a PvE mode since the introduction of the game. People have been asking for story mode, and now with Junkenstein's Revenge, people are asking for it back. So maybe we can get that, instead of worrying about D.Va slightly having a health pool change because you think she might actually be viable for once. Anyway, guys, I've been Darkness, and I hope you've enjoyed me roasting Kaplan, even though he'll never see it, and only like 4 people will watch this, and I cry myself to sleep at night thinking about how many viewers don't actually watch my videos. Please watch me. Nah, I'm kidding. Go ahead and hit me up in the comment section below with your thoughts about the D.Va nerfs. I think they're a horrible idea. I think they should leave them. Obviously, should leave her the same and worry about some other issues. Or you can talk to me about the Soldier 76 stuff. If you enjoyed this type of content, let me know with a like or a subscribe. I will see you guys around.